the St. Louis Blues and San Jose Sharks bring winning streaks into National Hockey Night in a building that rocks. Compact Center in San Jose. Hello again, everybody. Alongside Jim Schoenfeld, I'm Jack Edwards. The St. Louis Blues have done better here than any visiting team in the NHL. 14-3-1 all time in the regular season. And Jim Schoenfeld, one of the reasons that they're bringing in a streak of 2 straight wins in 4 out of 5 is they're getting more point production from more players of late.
Yeah, it isn't just Keith Tkachuk and Pavel Demitra. Now you've got Scott Young performing and also Doug Weight performing at very high levels. Remember, Doug Weight was brought here in a trade with the Edmonton Oilers. He was expected to produce big numbers because he makes big money. Well, he's done that in the last 5 games. He has 10 points on the strength of 9 assists and 1 goal. And Scott Young in those same 5 games has 6 points on the strength of 5 goals and 1 assist. So these guys are rocking along with Tkachuk and Demitra. It makes good power offensively for them.
Coming in, one team's goaltending situation is settled, the other in the other direction, and that's the St. Louis Blues case here.
Well, Brett Johnson has won his last 2 starts, allowing only 4 goals on 42 shots and wins over Columbus and Dallas. And Evgeny Nabokov, boy, last year's Rookie of the Year, has struggled his last 6 appearances. Goals against over 3 and a save percentage well below 900. But you know what? He's an exceptional goaltender, so he's due, Jack. I think he's going to have himself a big game tonight.
The game is on. The Blues wearing the road blues. And the Sharks in their white with the teal trim. It's Adam Graves up to the captain, Owen Nolan. And Ryan, a rookie, gets it up to Keith Tkachuk. Now Demitra, who's been on a hot streak all year long, gives it off to Mellanby, tries to jam the short post. Demitra back in the goal, right in front, looking for Tkachuk, but it got in the skates of Graves and wasn't a clean pass. Van Ryn tees it up, his drive, stick save, goes to the corner. Owen Nolan on the long carom. They'll calm things down a bit for the Sharks, who were challenged on their first shift. Vincent Damphousse, a great catalyst, been in a bit of a goal-scoring slump. And we get an offside. Let's take a look at Joel Quenneville and the success that he's had with the St. Louis Blues.
6 seasons as a Blues coach, and they dominate the Sharks here in San Jose. A great winning percentage, best in the National Hockey League. And after a rocky start, they have the 4th best winning percentage in the 2nd quarter of the season. You see right there, 14-3-1 all time here at San Jose. So this is like a road game for the Sharks.
Waite, Stillman, and Young, the line for St. Louis, but it is the Ricci, Thornton, Sundstrom line. The grinders who can throw the artistic flair in there for San Jose. And these guys make it entertaining every time they're on the ice. And there's Ricci disrupting a pass, going to get it on the wall, looking for Sundstrom. Hannon one-hands it back to Sundstrom, waist high, touches it over to the wall. That's where Thornton lives. Goes around the side. Now Salvador tries to skate it out of the zone. He gets it to Wade. Here are the Blues accelerating through center ice, something they do very well. And that's the mark of when they're playing well. When they're zooming through the neutral zone, that's when this team really can attack. Salvador gets it up quickly to Stillman. Back to Havanov in his own end. Across to Young. Easy to pick out because he's got that very short stick, but he's been using it beautifully of late. He's on a tear. Varlamov, a scrappy player, kicks it ahead, gets it onside. Hannon whacks him. Nabokov settles it back to the goal. Ryan Markman, who's suffering with a virus and scuffling a little bit this morning during the skate, but he's a go. Johnson stops the puck for Finley, who quietly has established a pretty good plus-minus this year. Varlamov drives it in off the referee. It bounces into the low slot. Hines tries to backhand it up. Hines hasn't played since back in November when he injured a knee. This is his first action since then. Now Mayers goes deep into the corner. Mark Smith gives him a bang. Puck goes loose to the corner. Hines takes a run at it there. Smith tries to whip it off the glass, gets it past Finley with some help from Stefan Matteau. Al McInnes is a scratch tonight for St. Louis. He's missing his 2nd straight game, suffering back spasms. Mike Rathke with a big hit against Jamal Mayers, and San Jose dumps into the St. Louis end. Pronger with a long outlet pass. Keane couldn't control it at the red line. Now chases it down in the left wing corner, bangs against Brad Stewart. Stewart and Keane jam on the backboards. Keane kicks it along, tries to get it into some space. Stewart racks him into the glass. Now the puck pops onto the top of the circle. Stewart still fighting against Keane. Bradley turns right back in front of his own goal, controls the puck nicely though, tries to chip it out of the zone. Harvey knocks it down. Suter back to Harvey, gains the zone. Bradley going on the right side, tries to steer it in front, and he gets swept to the backboards. Van Ryn left his skates but made the play. Pronger. Harvey takes a run at the captain of St. Louis. Van Ryn out of the corner, knocks it around. Here's Keene. Keene scored goals in his first 2 games as a St. Louis Blue. Hasn't gotten one since. Reed Lowe was in 3 fights against Dallas. One of his teammates, Scott Young, said by his standards, that's a hat trick.
I'll tell you what, 3 scraps, not only is your head sore, but your hand is sore after a night like that. So maybe a while before Reed Lowe drops the gloves again.
Pulled my aching knuckles. Here's Tkachuk, goes wing to wing. Mellenby's blasting a save by Nabokov. Touched up high as Tkachuk went after it with a high stick, but it's waved off as San Jose gets the next touch. Salvador's blistering drive goes wide. Graves golfs it up into the San Jose bench, and we get a whistle. Van Ryn's getting a long rope from Joel Quenneville.
I'll tell you what, he made a real nice play. Sprawling, preventing the pass out, but it wasn't always that way for Van Ryn. Early on his call-up against the Chicago Blackhawks, it's an easy touch-up here for an icing. No, it's knocked off the puck, and then who should I cover? Who should I cover? Maybe no one, and they end up scoring a goal. However, we're not showing that to Fry, the youngster. We're saying that he made some mistakes. Joel Quenneville stuck with him, and that's right there, Mike Van Ryn, sprawling, making sure that pass did not get to the front of the net. So good patience from Coach Quenneville. He believes in the kid, and the kid has played extremely well since that game in Chicago.
22 years old, came out of the University of Michigan, where he spent 2 years under Red Berenson.
Oh, baby!
Wait gets decked by Brian Marchment. If you skate with your head down near Marchment, you are going to get a bruise. Bergevin, left side, Stillman, diagonal crank off the glass. Nabokov stops it with Waite giving chase back to the goal.
Oh, man, sorry, Jack. I'm still laughing
It's
about that.
amazing.
Former teammates in Edmonton, not teammates tonight.
These 2 teams really go at one another. Horton along the wall, and Stillman gives him a bump. Rathje gives chase. No icing here. Both teams get line changes. Mark Smith sidesteps the Dimitricek. Pronger breaks it up at the line. Rathje retrieves the puck, spins away from Dimitra, still has it. Rathje, after the 28-game holdout, signed a long-term deal and changed from number 40 to number 2. Pronger doesn't connect in center ice, and there it is with Rathje dumping it again, this time for icing.
Well, Jack, the neutral zone is not a place you want to be with your head down if you have a sweater on that is a different color than that man right there. As Mr. Brashear found out with the Philadelphia Flyers, Brian Marchment hit Big Donald. Donald made his way to the bench, and then tonight, former teammate Dougie Waite bites the dust. And you've got to know going into the game, there is one of the best open ice hitters in the sport. Some of them are even clean, like those 2 hits that we just saw against Brashear and Dougie Waite. He's the guy that makes you keep your head up at all times. He
has been suspended, Marchment has, 13 times for 41 total games. Pronger's wrister deflects, scores!
Baby.
Tipped in from the circle. Dallas Drake gets it.
Dallas Drake was on his way to the ice. There was a defender all over him. He had the presence of mind to maintain focus on that wrister from Chris Pronger. And you'll see Drake right in the slot. He's watched by Hines, and there's the tip. Down goes Dallas Drake, but more importantly, into the net goes the puck. And the St. Louis Blues, as you'll see from the Southwest Airlines goal cam, have a 1-0 lead, and they have dominated play so far here in San Jose.
Varlamov and Pronger get the assists on Drake's 4th of the year. Drake breaking a 9-game scoreless skid. And a 1-0 lead for St. Louis. St. Louis, a pretty good front-running team. 16-3-1 when it scores first. Pronger on the touch, and the icing call. Dallas Drake does a lot of things for his team, but scoring is one of them.
I'll tell you, he has the team's only shorthanded goal this season. That was on a huge effort. You see right there, key. Face-offs are key in the defensive zone. The Blues win that. Good news. The wrist looking pretty good from Pronger as he snaps the wrister. And look at the hand-eye coordination of Dallas Drake. Hines is all over him, ready to knock him on the seat of his pants, but he maintains focus on that puck. And Dallas Drake, like Young, like Dougie Waite, is coming alive second half of this season offensively.
The St. Louis team still seems to be looking for a personality. It has been a bit of a chameleon playing the way its opponents play.
There's so many good players. Excuse me, Jack. I think Joe Quenneville has really had a difficult time finding the right amount of ice time for all the good players. And now he's made up his mind. He's really going to go with 3 lines. Give them the lion's share of the ice time. Roll in 4 or 5 different players in different occasions in the 4th line. And let them really be the grinders. And we're looking at a grinder there. Dallas Drake, favorite cartoon character, Wile E. Coyote. He should be the Roadrunner, that guy there. Pet's named, I guess a Disney fan, huh? Yeah. Earned an economics degree, so he's a bright guy, and he plays with a lion's heart. Talk about lion's share. He plays with a lion's heart, that man right there.
Shot saved by Nabokov as Havanov gets one off from the point.
There's last year's Rookie of the Year, getting Nabokov, and we mentioned he was on a 6-game skid, but he is a fine goaltender, folks. This is just a bump in the road. You know that he's going to get his season turned around. He is a great goaltender and had a real good season going until the last 6 starts. And if he does falter, they've got a pretty good backup in Kiprusoff, who has won his last 3 starts. So goaltending not a problem here in San Jose.
Eastwood steals it off the faceoff. Salvador off the backboards. Keane stick checked off that by Rafji. Keane and Rafji already have had a good one going here, and we're just in the first 6.5 minutes of the game. Rafji bangs Keane along the wall there, but it comes top of the slot. One-timer by Havanov goes wide to the corner, and again it's Keane banging off Rafji. Shot skate saved by Nabokov. Back to the point. Salvador can't keep it in, and it's going to be an offside call. Drake's 4th of the year at the 5:23 mark puts St. Louis in the lead. Long way to go on National Hockey Night, coming away from San Jose, California. Who are these guys? The St. Louis Blues have asked themselves that this year. They have played up to the level of their competition at times, down to the level of their competition, even beneath it at other times. To a man, they are disappointed in their point total. They currently sit 3rd in the Central Division behind runaway leader Detroit and the surprising Chicago Blackhawks. Thornton for San Jose behind Brent Johnson, and he knocks it down. Bergevin seeing ice time because of McKinnon. Scratch, and Bergevin's out there for his 2nd straight game. Here's Ricci's one-timer. Glove saved by Johnson. A spectacular one as Ricci tried to go upstairs.
When you're a youngster and you're playing ball hockey and guys are shooting on you, this is the save you want to make. The glove save with the pad going down. When you're a young kid, you hold it there just a little longer in case somebody wants to take a photograph. Good save by Brent Johnson. Good job protecting the puck. Quick wrister, Mike Ricci. And already this has been the best line for the San Jose Sharks. The only line that has had any sustained pressure at all in the Blues zone.
Johnson's going to turn into a great one, Joel Quenneville thinks. They hope it's going to happen by the end of this year. Tkachuk trying to dig it out of his own end. It's a 3-on-2 here. Dimitra has Mellanby on the right side. Mellanby on the go. Across and over. Tkachuk steers it into the goal. With his hand, it was a hand pass into the goal. I think it's coming back.
I don't know. I think it went off the shaft of his stick there, Jack. I think that's going to be a good goal. That's going to count. The referees will probably go upstairs unless they're absolutely sure. No, not even a question. Tkachuk was falling to the ice. And he just maintained his focus on the puck. There's Mellanby coming wide. The goal mouth pass. Although Tkachuk is being checked, he bangs that puck in. Many ways to score goals when you go to the net. Keith Tkachuk gets his 19th of the season by doing precisely that, driving the net. And he was just a little too much for the San Jose Shark defenders to handle. You see right there, Brian Martin with Tkachuk. He does not eliminate the stick. And although it doesn't win off the blade of Tkachuk's stick, It goes in off the shaft. A good goal for Keith Tkachuk and the St. Louis Blues.
Hey, they don't ask how pretty. They just ask how many.
It's like your golf score. No one's taking pictures. They just take numbers. And with my score, they're taking high numbers most of the time. There's Marchment. All right. There's the pass. There's Tkachuk. He gets the stick in. Good job. He's thinking, I got him tied up, but nope. Tkachuk stays right with it. Stick is on the ice. The puck is laying flat, and he bangs it in. Keith Tkachuk having another good offensive year in St. Louis.
And against the Sharks, this is his personal flipping boy team. He has scored more goals and has more total points against San Jose than against any other NHL team. So a terrific start for the St. Louis Blues, who haven't had a win on the road against a team over 500 since October. The
And that, Jack, was only their second of the year, as a matter of fact, with teams over 500. So I think the Blues will, you know, I really don't want to beat them up because I think they're just waiting. They know they're going to be judged on their playoff performance, as are the San Jose Sharks. Doesn't matter where you finish. It's where you wind up in the springtime. So they're sorting out a lot of things, trying to get all the kinks out of their game. The Blues are trying to figure out who their #1 goaltender is. They have both goaltenders playing well. A lot of questions are being answered as the season goes along. And talking to Joe Quenneville, he doesn't care if it takes up to game 78 to figure out who #1 goalie is.
Wade across the middle, Stillman denied on the doorstep. Nabokov there to brick up the front of the cage. Nabokov moves very efficiently, and that kind of controlled lateral motion was a good example of it. Now down to the corner, Stillman, who had a hat trick his last time out, gives it up to Ricci. Being looked at as a leading candidate for the Selke Award as the best defensive forward in the National Hockey League. Salvador breaks up the play inside the St. Louis end, and now here's Brad Stewart in the San Jose zone.
It would be nice to see that award go to a defensive player instead of to an offensive player who's having a bad year.
Drake pulls up shot, saved Nabokov, glove into his own goal. Nolan makes a huge mistake, and Drake has his second of the night. The guy who calls Wile E. Coyote his favorite cartoon character is getting away from the Roadrunner this evening.
My goodness, my goodness. The Blues continue their dominance here in San Jose against the Sharks. Great move by Dallas Drake against Stewart. There's the shot. The save is made by Nabokov, and Owen Nolan in the wrong place at the right time, coming back with his check, trying to glove that puck away, but instead of gloving it to the corner, he gloves it into the corner of the net. So a tough night for Evgeny Nabokov. Not only are the Blues scoring goals on him, his San Jose Sharks teammates are making life miserable for him as well.
Well, the roller coaster ride continues for San Jose. This is the last game of a 7-game homestand. Right in front, Nolan's shot goes through the far side. Vinny Dambusa tried to scoot the puck in front. Mayers on the backboards, rips it around, and it comes all the way down into the San Jose end. This will be icing here. Program reminder, Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. It's the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia Flyers. A good Eastern Conference battle, and that one ought to be as physical as this one has been. Maybe even more. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Thursday on ESPN2. For more information, you can log on to ESPN.com.
There's my buddy Dallas Drake, his second goal of the evening. The first one, a real good tipper, and that one, well, a little help from Owen Nolan, but he'll take them any way he can get them. And Owen Nolan feels worse about that than anyone in the building, of course. And it happens to players. You're in good defensive position. You're doing everything you can do to get the job done. Sometimes it'll hit your skate and go in the net. Sometimes the stick. In that case, it hit the glove of Owen Nolan. He just couldn't get enough of the puck to direct it into the corner of the rink.
All the goals tonight so far from guys who worked under you in Phoenix, Schultz.
If only I would have scored him in Phoenix, maybe I'd still be there, Jack. Nah, but then I wouldn't be with you, Jack, and I'd much rather be here.
Yeah, well, you know, Solani's shot knocked down. Solani in a horrible slump, the worst of his career, has gone 9 games without a point. Solani was scoring 1.22 points per game. That's either a goal or an assist. When he was with Anaheim, he's dropped off to about 3/4 of a point per game since being traded to San Jose last spring. Jamal Mayers goes into the penalty box at 9:39 for slashing, and so Solani will stay out there on the San Jose power play.
Not only is Solani not scoring, as you documented, Jack, I just haven't seen the great bursts of speed that we were used to seeing Teemu Solani show. coming down that right wing, he would leave defenders in the dust. Coming off the left wing boards, he had the great rocket on a power play. And he just hasn't shown a lot of that here. I know that Daryl Sutter is trying to find the right line combinations, find the right center. And it seems if he has a good center playing with Solani, who is Vinny Dompoos, then Owen Nolan suffers. So they might have to go out and get another center. They've even tried Owen Nolan at center to see if they could get both players going. But Vinny Dompoos is the key to the success of both these wingers, I think.
Pronger gives a shot to Mateau. Suter around the backboards. Solani goes into the corner hard against Eastwood. And the Blues chip it out of the zone.
A 3-0 lead is not insurmountable, especially when the goals come as easily as the Blues goals came and as quickly. The San Jose Sharks have 50 minutes to get those goals back, and sometimes when a team goes out and scores so easily, they think, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk tonight. Momentum switches, and you can never get it back. So, folks, this game is a long way from over.
Important power play for San Jose here, though. Marleau trying to go middle. Salvador bangs him off it, and Pronger clears up to the line. Stewart touches it down to Solani, comes in off the wall. Keane giving him problems from behind. It's a 2-on-2. Young and Keane breaking it back. Suter, the defenseman, against Keane's rush. He elects to dump it in, and St. Louis gets fresh legs on the ice. Now Brad Stewart coming out of his own end. Center ice now fires in it, bounces past Johnson into the right wing corner. Ricci knocks it around there. Sundstrom looking for help. Thornton cycling low. Sundstrom brings it out top of the slot. Rathje's shot knocked down. Sundstrom, bad angle, has to bring it back to the perimeter across the penalty killing box. Hines' drive hits a body as Finley went down, and Eastwood also there to try to block it. Hines has a shot that was clocked at 107 miles an hour once. And here he comes, Hines. Sidesteps to Van Riemsdyk, but has to give up the puck. Pronger cranks it out of the zone. And there's less than 10 seconds to go, and Meyers' slashing penalty. He's up and in the gate. So St. Louis has a 3-0 lead and has killed off its first penalty. Owen Nolan, who knocked one into his own goal, has a burr under his saddle as he gains the zone. Graves against Meyers, down into the corner as we're 5-on-5. Nolan gets it out of the ref's skates. Meyers backhands it around the dasher. Hannon knocks it down. Hannon quietly has become the number 3 man in ice time per game for the San Jose Sharks. This is Hannon with the puck. Into the center circle off Nolan as he gets checked by Waite. Foose down into the corner. Havanov turns away from Graves' check. Waits in the right place at the right time. Wing to wing to Dimitra. Dimitra breaking with Tkachuk. And Hannon poke checks the puck away. San Jose trying to get a little bit more physical now as Graves was looking to mix it up. Salvador's shot goes well wide, stick side. Mateau on the rebound. Nolan without his helmet has the puck. Lobs it in, and San Jose gets the line change. Brent Johnson all the way around past Stillman. Marchment one hands at the puck. Can't get it down the boards. Havanov breaks it up. Stillman wing to wing to Mellenby. A lot of wing to wing passing by St. Louis, and it's helping the Blues accelerate through the neutral zone, and that is when they play their best hockey. Havanov walks in his drive, saved by Nabokov on the right leg. He whipped it out there. Solani bringing it back for San Jose. Excellent first period action end to end here as the Sharks try to get back in it. This one deflects up over the high glass.
Well, the captains reintroducing themselves. Owen Nolan, the big hit on Chris Pronger. Okay to lose your helmet, just don't lose your...
The fans a bit shocked here in San Jose as the Sharks have stumbled out of the gate, and they trail St. Louis 3-0. But there's still 7 minutes or so to go in the first period. Plenty of time for a comeback as Mark Smith goes for the draw against Dimitra. Dimitra loves getting in the center of the ice. He has excelled with the move to center this year. Breaking with Tkachuk and Mellenby. Shot, save Nabokov, rebound. Save Nabokov, still loose near the pipe. And Suter snaps it around. Can't clear. Salvador's drive tipped through the middle, dives in the slot. Mateau on the outlet to Solani. Tries to thread the needle to Mark Smith, the backhander. Blocked down by Havanov, and Havanov scoops up the rebound as Smith goes tumbling to the backboard. Suter. Out of the boards, Solani. Down in the circle, Smith trying to feed it in front for Mateau. Salvador down to block it. Salvador now takes Smith right off his skates. Dimitra scoops it up for Tkachuk too far forward. Stewart back into the circle. Dimitra intercepts. On to the right to Mellanby. He's weaving with Tkachuk on his right. Mellanby gains the zone, but it's offside as Tkachuk was too eager to get inside. Let's send it across the continent to Brian Kenny.
Jack, we go to Minnesota and Montreal and pick this up in the third period. 3-2 game at this point. Wild up on top. Sergei Zoltak got it from Richard Park and puts it in the back of the net. 9th of the season for Zoltak. 4-2 Minnesota. Less than 40 seconds to go. Jack.
Thank you, Brian.
Daryl Sutter knows that his team can come back from a 3-goal deficit. They just won 3 in a row, as Jack mentioned, and the last victory was a 6-0 shellacking of the Florida Panthers. So although the game looks right now like it's out of reach, I'm sure Daryl Sutter is saying, let's just get out of this period only down 3, and we'll regroup from there.
Got a little bookkeeping to take care of when we get a chance. Ratzy's shot knocked down across the slot. Arlo cycling down in the corner along with Harvey, who gave up the number 9 for Graves when he came over from the Rangers. Harvey along the boards. In the corner now. Finley trying to stop his progress, but he gets it loose to Marlowe. Marlowe right across the low slot. The Blues are back in big numbers tonight. They've been pretty solid in front of Johnson. Young trickles it into the left wing corner. St. Louis wants a line change. Back comes Ratzy. Ragnarsson out of this game. He's missed a couple now with a broken finger, and his status is being evaluated on a day-to-day basis. On the right side, it's Mayers. He's got Varlamov in the middle. Drake down into the corner. Drake's shot goes wide. He almost had a first period hat trick. Ricci clear. Bonner punches it back the other way. It's a hand pass in the neutral zone. 4:43 to go in the first period. Daryl Sutter's guys, and they come back down 3 on National Hockey Night. The Ricci line is out there for San Jose against the Mayor's line for St. Louis. And it has been at times like these that Mike Ricci has been able to lift the San Jose Sharks. They're down by 3. They need something before they have to go into the room. Here's Ricci, top of the right wing circle. Varlamov and Pronger double team him. And Mayers fires out of his own end with the puck. He gets dumped on a nice hit in the neutral zone by Sundstrom. And we get a stoppage here. You know, fans, one of the great things about working alongside Jim Schoenfeld is that he's never, ever, ever missed a trivia question. And tonight you can log on to ESPN.com for the potential answers to this question. Who registered the first shutout in Sharks history? You know, Shoney, it's like yawning in the morning for you, I suppose. You know, this one is so easy.
Well, when you know it, you know it. That was Mika Kiprusoff. He had his first shutout. That's not the answer to the question, but he had his first shutout this season. And Kiprusoff has been playing extremely well. But thank you, Jack, for that big build-up. I did a game with Dave Strader, and he gave me no such build-up. Well, so I requested to do no more games with Dave, of course.
Well, you know, it was like the early Gretzky stats coming out of Edmonton. They thought he was padding his stats. You know, they thought that they'd just add on an assist for Gretzky. That a guy couldn't be that good. But it's true, Shoney. You've never, ever.
You've been there, Jack, for most of that. I mean, you know.
It's a remarkable streak, and I'm sure the fans will witness history in the third period when it continues.
What was that question again in the trivia? I'll have to wait.
You'll get it again in the second period. Here comes Vinny Danfus winding it up.
Busy patting myself in the back there to look at the question.
Miscommunication here as Van Ryn runs into Johnson's attempted clear, but there's a nice outlet pass from Pronger, who's been doing much more of that of late. On the go, Van Ryn charging toward the middle off Tkachuk, and it trickles slowly to Nabokov.
Well, Evgeny Nabokov has not had a good start to the game. I mean, the first goal is a tip-in. Really had no chance. You see his save percentage, 13 goals allowed, last 64 shots, 797. Tkachuk scored on his knees off the shaft, and then Owen Nolan threw one into the net. And Mika Kiprusoff has won his last 3 games. He has a goals against average .76, a save percentage of .954. And as we mentioned, he had his first shutout, and that was that 6-0 victory against the Florida Panthers on Saturday night. So if they have to call in Kiprusoff, they know he can get the job done for them.
Nolan on the long rebound off Mellenby's cross-ice shot. Mellenby bumps into Graves. Now Pronger tries to golf it out of the zone. Tkachuk takes the puck knocked down at his own line. Here's Dmytro with a burst of speed. Gains home, drops it off Van Ryn. Blistering shot. Saved Nabokov, who looked over his right shoulder. But it got caught in his pads on the way through.
Well, the St. Louis Blues are out shooting the San Jose Sharks 12-3. Evgeny Nabokov not getting much help from his teammates right there. He's saying, did I have my arm closed or did that squib through? And that's a good move for a goaltender, because with all that padding on, you can't always feel the puck. You don't know it's there. You know it hit you, but you don't know. And so when you're out that far cutting the angle down, if it happens to squib through and the puck is making its way slowly into the net, you have a chance to recover and bang it away. So it's not so much he wasn't sure he made the save. He couldn't feel it and wanted to make sure that the puck was in his arm and not squibbing through going into the net.
The Sharks, a dominant team in the first period, best in the NHL in goal differential. This year, they have scored 41 goals, and coming into this game, allowed just 23 in their first 41 games, allowing just 23 first-period goals in their first 41 games. But they give up 3 tonight and are at -3 on the evening as St. Louis again challenges in Nabokov's crease. 2.5 minutes to go in the first.
Oh, we talked about some of the St. Louis Blues getting things going. Waite, Young getting it going. And right there, that man, Corey Stillman, who was brought here from Calgary to provide some offense, had himself a hat trick against the Dallas Stars. And that's Dougie Waite, Scott Young teaming up with Stillman. That's a line's been put together by Coach Bill Quinville. There's the second goal tonight by Stillman. And there's the best passer in the game, Chris Pronger. And he makes the feed. The hat trick, Corey Stillman, a happy St. Louis Blue. As I mentioned, Chris Pronger, the best outlet passer in the National Hockey League, and he's been struggling with a knee and wrist injury this year, and that has greatly affected his game. Although he still played well, he has not played up to Chris Pronger standards.
Well, if the Blues can continue to play well and then get McInnes back from the back spasms, this team might begin to take the kind of shape that many expected it would have all season long, and just flat out didn't in the first half. Southwest Intermission Report is coming up in a couple of minutes with Brian Kenny. The Bruins, with Scott Thornton's cousin Joe, going against the Penguins. The Senators get sold, and Jerome Iginla against the Islanders. What a tremendous year for Iginla. And of course, the fates of the Blues and the Flames are intertwined. There is Scott Thornton, Joe's cuz.
Leading goal scorer of the San Jose Sharks with 14, and what a tremendous career turnaround he has had here in San Jose, coming off career numbers last year, and he's just continuing to play better and better, not only scoring goals, but he is big, strong. If somebody wants to drop the gloves, he can more than handle himself.
Finley's wrist shot goes off the side of the net. St. Louis easily could have 5 on the board in the first period. Reed Lowe dumps it down into the left wing corner. Stewart bangs against Keane. Harvey in there trying to pry it loose. Lowe, a big guy with a physical presence. Hall loses an edge and rolls in hard. Stewart hit him from behind and is going to go. That is what the NHL is trying to eliminate. Hits from behind. In Canadian junior hockey, they actually have stop signs that are stitched onto the uniforms and little stickers that are stuck on the helmets, so the kids never will learn those habits of hitting a guy from behind.
Great thing to teach the kids. There's the first little bump and grind. That's fine. And we're going to go to the corner boards. This is Lowe coming in now. And boom, Lowe kind of turned, and it's the cross check just above, the pads in the pants. And that's right into the kidneys. There's not protection all the way up, folks. You have your shoulder pads coming down. They stop. Then you have your pants coming up. They come up a few inches above your waist. But when you bend over, your kidneys are exposed, that lower back portion. And that is where the stick came in. You get hit there. Your feet come out from underneath you. And what could have been very dangerous was nothing more than a pretty good crash into the boards for Reed Lowe. Another power play opportunity for the St. Louis Blues.
Going to get a good entertainment factor here because San Jose is tied for the second best penalty kill in the NHL St. Louis is desperately trying to get off the schneid on the road on the power play. St. Louis has an excellent power play at home, but on the road it is dead last. 30th in the league with 6 for 86, and there's nothing the Blues would like more than to score their 4th of the first period on the power play in a game in which everything has gone right for them. Havanov down past Marchment into the corner. Mellenby, Kachuk fires hard back to Havanov, kicks it to the stick. Mellenby on the half boards. Havanov shot knocked down by Kachuk. Would have been a high stick call, but San Jose got the next touch. Danfus sends it down the river. Half a minute to go in the first.
The St. Louis Blue power play on the road, to me, is good news for the Blues. They're 7% right now. You know it's not going to stay that way the rest of the season. They're too good a hockey team. Their penalty killing last year was the best in the league halfway through. This year they're down to 22nd. That is good news because you know they're not going to stay there. So there's certain parts of the St. Louis game they already have going, and other parts that I'm sure they'll get going in the second half. Remember, folks, we're talking first half. We're talking collectively. Actually, it was the first 20 games where the Blues really played poorly. The next 20, the second quarter of the season, they had the 4th best record in the National Hockey League.
The Blues get 3 against the Sharks. Evgeny Nabokov in the first period. Dallas Drake with 2 of them to the break after this. I'm Jack Edwards. And the Blues on that power play, but you get the feeling from the Sharks that they are going to make it interesting before it's over. Ronger teeing up, fakes the shot, goes left side. Wait, a great passer, takes the wrist shot, saved Nabokov. Young back at the goal, right through the crease, shot scores! Stillman was on the doorstep. It is 4-0 St. Louis.
I'm not sure.
Waite's goal.
I'm not sure that went off of Stillman or went off of the pads of Mike Rathje, who was also standing in front of the net with Corey Stillman as Coach Darryl Sutter looks on. And he's got a puzzled look on his face. Stillman, as we mentioned, had a hat trick. 3rd of his career against the Dallas Stars. And this is Scott Young just throwing the puck to the net. I think that went off of Mike Rathje's skate. We're going to get a better look at it there. He couldn't have picked the 5-hole any better. We'll wait for the announcement. If it went off of Rathje, of course, the goal will be given to Scott Young.
Goal was getting credit right now.
Yeah, it was given to Stillman, so he must have got his stick on that.
There's another shot. All the bounces are going St. Louis's way tonight. Marchment at center ice. Lobs it into the right wing corner. Brent Johnson tries to play it himself. This one goes off the low glass into the San Jose bench. A minute into the second period in a stunned compact center at San Jose. Corey Stillman's 10th of the year, and let's go back and see how he gets it.
Scott Young's rounding the net. He's just going to throw a backhander into the crease area, and there's the puck off of the skate of, I'm not sure, and that isn't Rathje in front of the net either. I'm sorry. It was Brian Marchment, and I'm not sure Stillman did get anything on that from that angle. My old eyes can maybe take another look at it and see something differently, but it looks to me like that should have been awarded to Scott Young. We'll take another look at that for you folks when we get an opportunity.
Well, this is a lousy way to end a 7-game homestand, the longest of the season for the San Jose Sharks. They lost the first 3 games. They won the next 3, but 3 and 4 in your longest homestand of the season, that just isn't getting it done. And in the very competitive and tightly packed Pacific Division, things can change in a big hurry. Don't look now, but the LA Kings are coming up fast in people's rearview mirrors. Longer. Broken up. Hines gets it over to Graves. Lobs it in the air. A bouncer. Danfus grabs it on the blade, but Finley whacks it away from him. Now Mike Keane, one hand on the stick. And Hines sweeps it away at the blue line. It's offside anyway.
Well, folks, it's been a night of weird bounces for the San Jose Sharks and opportunistic plays for the St. Louis Blues. Remember, the Sharks led the NHL with a +18 goal differential in the first period. That was kind of put to rest tonight as Kachuk and Drake scoring 2, and there's Owen Nolan. You see the domination in shots. Dallas Drake will be gunning for his 3rd. And there's Brian Marchment, and I'm pretty sure that the goal that was just scored went off of the skate. You see it right there, almost a skate and then his stick as he finds the 5-hole against Evgeny Nabokov. So I think that will be changed. I think that will be changed. We have one of the linesmen leaving the ice. Or was that a streaker? He just pulled that guy off the ice. What's going on here, Jack?
I'm not sure what's going on here. We still have 2 referees and 2 linesmen on the ice. So
I believe there was an equipment problem with one of the linesmen that was taken care of. We're back in action, Jackson.
The St. Louis Blues have gotten a lot of lucky bounces, and maybe they will take this as a sign that things have turned around in their season. Suter dumps it into the left wing corner for San Jose. Solani skates past the puck, leaves it for Smith. Now Suter tries the short post. Smith into the circle for Mateau. Pronger gives it up to Stewart at the line, but Keane bangs it loose. Reed Lowe gains the zone on the left wing top of the circle. Shot goes off the backboards. We're getting a scoring change now over the public address system. They are saying that it is Scott Young's goal to make it 4-0 for St. Louis. Stewart's shot saved by Johnson. He saw that one coming from 60 feet. So change that one. Young has picked up his 15th goal of the season, and now he has 3 goals and an assist for 4 points in his last 3 games.
6 goals in his last 5.5 games, including this one. And remember, Scott Young had a career year last year in every offensive category: goals, assists, points, shots, power play goals. He had a slow start, but he is picking it up here for the St. Louis Blues.
Young has been such a streaky player throughout his career. You knew that when his first half numbers were slightly depressed that he was going to have a tear, and he's in the middle of it. One-timer, and Marlowe fans on it. That gets derisive cheers from the crowd. Young picks it up off the boards, drops it off from Mayers, but Markman was back checking. Mayers gets it back to Havanov. His drive, looking head-hunting. That one goes off the high glass. Salvador whacks it down low for Young on the backboards. Hannon pins him in, lets the puck run for Bradley. Bradley goes across his own zone, dangerous now. Harvey for Marlowe, splits the D. Havanov gets back and from his knees, whacks it across to the sideboard. Salvador around for Young. Faces pressure from Hannon. Sends it down the ice, and the drop will come back in the St. Louis end. Where does San Jose go from here?
Well, not only are the Sharks not in this game, the crowd is definitely out of it. They need a goal, and they need a goal soon, just to get people interested again, to get some emotion in the building, because it's so easy to sit in the bench and say, boys, it just isn't our night tonight. We're putting pucks in our own net. The Blues, every bounce is going their way, and you have to fight against that attitude. It's the attitude that will lose the game for you, not the bad bounces. You got to make up your mind to go out no matter which way the puck is bouncing. Resolve to play your best game from this point on, and maybe this thing can be turned around.
Dimitra one-hands it out of the zone to Mellenby. He goes cross ice. After he takes it on the curve, backing it against Kachuk. Ricci up for Sundstrom. Mellenby tracking back. Bangs into Thornton. One-hand pass back to Dimitra. Runs into some traffic from Sundstrom. Thornton backhands it into the corner. Pronger picks it up. Ricci shoves him from behind. Kachuk waits for the puck, and now goes across the neutral zone. Here's Pronger. Tees it up. 70-footer goes off the dash. Rathje away from Mellenby. Through the pile of players in a line change in front of the St. Louis bench. It'll go for icing as Salvador is back for the touch.
It has not been an easy road for the San Jose Sharks this season. As you've mentioned, Jack, an up and down season, and most times you have friendly confines at home, but not necessarily so. December, January, 4-3-1-1 has been their record at home. Good early in the season, not so good the second quarter, and Darryl Sutter knows that that is a problem that he must solve. And he also knows that there's a lot of hockey to be played before his team is truly judged, and their judgment will come on how far they extend their season into the playoffs.
Sometimes a slight change in the chemistry can tilt a team off its equilibrium just enough to mess up what was a good thing. And it is not to say that Jeff Gilson is a better player than Mike Rathje, because he's not. But he's a right-hand shot who was very effective on the power play. When Rathje's holdout ended, Gilson got sent down. Since then, Gilson has hurt his elbow in the minors. And with Ragnarsson also out, who gets huge minutes, he's the team leader in ice time. San Jose looks a little bit mystified at the blue line. Rathje came back to the team his first game the 8th of December, and since then the Sharks have been kind of mediocre at home. Rathje now back in goal. Gamfu setting up on the ribbon. Comes back. Heinz's one-timer knocked down. Here comes Drake, who's got a couple tonight. Varlamov goes right down the middle. Varlamov saved Nabokov. We're going to get at least a penalty shot.
Absolutely. That's a good call. Good call by the referee, because we like to see them. Varlamov breaking in, a nice feed off the stick of Dallas Drake. Splits the defenseman. You were just talking about that, Jack. The blue line has been very suspect to the San Jose Sharks. This is Drake coming up the ice, neutral zone, and right through the middle goes Varlamov. He's pulling the puck to the forehand. He gets hooked to the ice. Does get a weak shot on goal. He's getting Nabokov with one save, but will he be able to stop that man right there? Varlamov on the penalty shot.
Sergei Varlamov, 23 years old, from the Ukraine. He's a rookie, and he's going against last year's Rookie of the Year, Evgeny Nabokov. One-on-one.
What's your bet, Jack?
I'm going with Nabokov.
Okay.
Here it is. No rebound.
I'll go with the goal scorer.
Oh! He never got it off. He never got it off. I think Nabokov must have shouted something at him on the way in.
Well, that replay will be shown a couple of times in the team's next video meeting. And there'll be some good-natured kidding to Varlamov from his teammates. They'll say, we want you to dump it in when we're trying to cycle the puck, not when you have a breakaway, son. And you've got to know that this fellow is nervous coming down the ice. Coming down, he's going to pull it to the backhand here. Whoops. And you know what? It would have been a tremendous goal had it been about 6 inches to the right of goaltender Evgeny Nabokov. And he's saying, maybe this could turn the game around for us. There's a spark of emotion in the crowd. Will there be a spark of emotion on the bench? Will that translate to the players going onto the ice?
Well, Shawnee, this game is like a barge that's drifting out to sea. It's going to take a while to stop the thing before San Jose can start bringing it ashore again.
You're right. There's no quick turnaround. Long uphill battle against a team that is very good playing with the lead, the St. Louis Blues.
Although I will say this, St. Louis's 3 first-period goals came in a span of 3 minutes, 28 seconds. So in the span of just a couple of shifts, San Jose, which is a team with some explosive players who are sitting on powder kegs, could turn it back. Here's Solani, who's one of them, and Johnson denies him on the doorstep. Solani in the corner, gets away from Van Ryn into the pile. Mateau, we got a delay penalty coming. St. Louis on the next touch, and San Jose's power play will get the drop in the St. Louis end as Billy McCreary sees the infraction. Going to be holding on the rookie like Van Ryn.
Well, it was almost a big hit thrown at the San Jose Shark blue line as Brian Marchment was bringing the puck out of the zone, and Reed Lowe was coming to make the big hit. This is the penalty right here, the stick between the legs of Teemu Solani. And they're continuing, and here it is. There's Marchment with the puck, and here's Reed Lowe. Oh, Brian Marchment got his head up, and that's a check that Brian Marchment is used to giving, not receiving. So the penalty goes to Pronger. It wasn't Van Ryn. It was not the play on Solani. It was holding in front of the net. And so the best penalty killer for the St. Louis Blues is in the penalty box.
You know what? I think Van Ryn was trying to do a pretty smart thing. I think Van Ryn was trying to skate to the bin for the captain.
No, I think he thought he was getting a penalty, Jack.
You think that? I'm giving him too much credit, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Guilty conscience, maybe. Solani across the middle. Stewart crashing on the far post. Can't get off the one-timer. Nolan. Solani out of the corner, tries the short post shot, denied as Johnson bricks up the front. Solani gets up, seeing little Tweety birds around his head as he got his clock clean.
Jeff Finley cleaning out the turf in front of goaltender Brent Johnson. Teemu Solani trying to bring that puck to the net. Coverage was established on all the receivers. He says, well, if everybody's covered, I might as well come in. This is Solani coming from the Southwest Airlines goal cam. There's Brent Johnson with the save, and there's Jeff Finley pushing Solani into Johnson into the goal post and pushing it off its moorings.
Even with the helmet, he'll shake loose the cobweb. Suter. Stewart fakes the shot. Suter. Now Nolan, top of the circle. Solani down low. Shot, saved Johnson, and he hangs on. Solani trying to pick the top corner far side, but he couldn't do it. Power play goals have been pretty important for San Jose this season, especially at home. When they don't score one on the power play, they have no wins.
We had a pretty good opportunity there. Brent Johnson was cheating off the post a little bit. Teemu Solani didn't have time to recognize that fact and buried the puck right into his crest. Had he been able to take a look, he would have seen that the short side top shelf was wide open, and Solani has scored a lot of goals in that part of the net.
Campus and Mayers on the drop, and Mayers controls it to the board. Solani over there quickly. Nolan back to Suter, moves it quickly to Stewart, tries to come across the zone, and Mayers, who has become an impressive defensive presence for St. Louis, sends it down the river. Mayers really has come into his own as a fine defensive center and an excellent penalty killer.
When he gets a chance, Jack, he's a very good body checker. Good on the forecheck, strong on the puck, and he has a great deal of courage.
Nolan lying down the left side. Hamanov keeps him on the perimeter. Now it's Stamfus looking diagonally across the zone. Salvo smacks in. Newham, they both go down. Solani quickly to the puck. Pass Hamanov to Nolan. About 3/4 of a minute to go on the power play for San Jose. Desperately in need of a goal here. Solani, a saucer pass sweetly to Nolan, but he couldn't jam it in against Johnson. Solani still around the perimeter. Top of the circle, tries to penetrate, can't. Nolan through the crease, Stamfus back into the slot, nobody home, and Mayers is there to send it out into the neutral zone. Stewart, hard around, rides the dasher. Thornton for Ricci. Final 15 seconds of the power play. Sundstrom back to Stewart on edge. His shot, Drake gives up the body. Gives it back to Stewart, his shot scores! Power play goal! And San Jose has life.
Well, Jack, Dallas Drake of the St. Louis Blues made a real nice block in the first attempt by Stewart. And as he went to block the second attempt, you'll see that he gets picked by Mike Ricci. This is a block right here. There's Drake coming in. Good block. Now the puck's underneath him. It's going to go back to Stewart. Now watch Drake going. He's going to go down. And Mike Ricci with a nifty little pick pushes Dallas Drake out of the way. That clears the room for the shot to get to the net and through Brent Johnson in a very important power play goal by the San Jose Sharks.
Well, if they live up to the stat, this is going to be an awesome comeback because they've scored a power play goal. And they're 11-1 when scoring a power play goal. On the doorstep, Ricci saved by Johnson. There is emotion in the building in San Jose. Listen.
The San Jose Sharks are on the board, and that man right there, Scott Thornton, may have been the goal scorer. There he is camped out in front of the net. Here comes the shot. And it looks like it was redirected, maybe by Scott Thornton, who was already the leading scorer for the San Jose Sharks.
Right now, it's Stewart's fourth of the year from Ricci and Sundstrom on the power play to make it 4-1. That goal coming at 7:29 of the second period. Mellenby maneuvering through the neutral zone. It hops over to Bakov's stick. Dimitra looking for Mellenby. Back comes Ricci. It's a 3-on-2 on the break. Sundstrom has Ricci on the right side. Pronger poke checks it back to center right. Kachuk back to disrupted. Pronger chops it forward. Sundstrom, or rather Thornton on his knees, loses the 3-on-2. Kachuk trying to feed Mellenby too hard. Goes into the corner. Mellenby cycles out of there with it. Looking for Pronger. Thornton hitting Pronger from behind and cleaning him out. Pronger is down in a heap, and Thornton's going to go at least for interference here as he hit Pronger from behind. Dimitra holds the puck with the extra skater on. Pronger shoots, gets hit from behind again, this time by Marchment. And Marchment's going for a cross check, so it's going to be a 5-on-3 here for St. Louis. And San Jose dearly will miss Ragnarsson on this penalty kill, because this is exactly the situation in which they need Ragnarsson to suck up some minutes on the PK.
Well, Chris Pronger was getting banged around that shift for sure, but he's paying a pretty good price for his St. Louis Blue teammates. It's the first one here. He's setting up for a one-timer. Thornton comes in from behind. That penalty is already going to be called. Bill McCurry's arm is up in the air waiting to call it. Pronger's going to get to his feet. He's going to receive another pass. And then you'll see Brian Marchment with the cross check coming in across the shoulder blade of Chris Pronger. And Pronger's getting up. He's looking around. He was ready to retaliate, but realized very quickly that this could just about put the game away for the St. Louis Blues.
So for Daryl Sutter, he looks down the bench and looks for Marcus Ragnarsson. Where is this guy when I need him? Well, he's out with a broken finger, so it falls onto Mike Rathje's shoulders. Consider what happened to Ragnarsson and its effect on the Sharks right now.
Well, it was killing a penalty. He's blocking his shot. Here comes the shot. There's Ragnarsson highlighted for you. Goes down with the glove and the stick. And not only is that the impact of the puck hitting the finger, folks, remember he's holding a hard object in his hand, the stick. So you have the impact of the puck hitting the outside of the knuckle, the force of the stick and inside. It almost crushes the finger. And man, does that hurt.
Sturm, who also is hurt and out for tonight's game, is an excellent penalty killer as well and has shorthand goal potential, which tends to keep power play players honest. Pronger wants this one. Wait right in front for Young, and there is Rathje. Johnson quickly back to Pronger in the neutral zone. Hits Young at the blue line. Here come the Blues. They are flying through the neutral zone tonight, Stoney. They really look like the team people expected them to be. Pronger teeing it up. Havanov. Pronger. Stillman. Pronger lifts it down low. Quick redirection from Waite. What hands.
Well, you talked about Ragnarsson not being in uniform for the San Jose Sharks. 5-on-3 power play. How big would Al McGinnis look right now in the St. Louis Blue uniform? He'd have about 3 lasers already on Nabokov. Gives you that right-handed shooter. So you have Pronger on one side, McGinnis on the other. They can play the offside for the one-timers, or can come right down low from Dougie Waite to McGinnis, as it does so many times. He blasts it. Pronger comes in, and so you have a 3-on-2 in front of the net. Easy rebound opportunities for the St. Louis Blues. And there's the head coach as we show you the Blues injuries to Nash and McGinnis. And Joel Quenneville looks on.
Van Ryn, the rookie out there in the 5-on-3. Dimitra back to Van Ryn. It's 2 minutes of 5-on-3 for St. Louis. Wait across. Dimitra couldn't pull the trigger and put it on goal as Hannon was right in his face.
And that's the right-hand shot we're talking about, folks. It gives a real different look to a 5-on-3 power play. 2 lefties, 2 righties, a lefty, a righty. You play against them very differently when you're defending.
The remarkable thing about that last graphic you saw is that San Jose has scored a goal when down 2 men. Van Ryn across the Pronger. Van Ryn. Pronger getting food every time he touches the Tkachuk at the doorstep. Hit the iron. Tees it up on the toe. Mellenby across the goal. Dimitra scores! Good night, Irene. It's 5-1 Blues. Tremendous puck movement. And when you have talent like that on the ice, you're going to find the open man. And Dimitra, who was the first guy on the ice this morning, shows why he's so eager to get to the rink.
Great patience by the St. Louis Blues. You're going to go north-south here. That's a good play. Pronger right there to Mellenby. This is Tkachuk, all right? Now it's going to go back. Pronger to Mellenby again. They're going to cover Tkachuk. Can't cover everybody. Come out to Tkachuk. Well, who's open? Pavel Demitra. Great goal mouth pass by Scott Mellenby. But the pass to Demitra was set up by the first pass to Tkachuk. And that's the way to execute a 5-on-3. There's no sense passing the puck laterally. You make it easy for the 3 penalty killers. You pass it north-south. You make them turn. You make them find a check in front of the net. Somebody's going to be open. Brilliantly executed by the St. Louis Blues.
Havanov's one-timer saved Nabokov as he gets the left pad out there. By the way, St. Louis has missed a penalty shot tonight and still leads 5-1. Suter down the slot. Havanov rides him off. Thornton goes corner and pounds into Havanov. Suter one-hands it down. Thornton. Young bringing it back for St. Louis. Stillman off for Waite, who lobs it in. Nabokov off the pads of Waite. Suter holds it on the ribbon. Thornton gets banged by Mayers in center zone, and Van Ryn throws it diagonally.
You had mentioned what a good player Jamal Mayers is turning himself into. When he first came into the league, he was a mucker and a grinder and a guy that tried to stir things up. Now he's a very reliable two-way hockey player. So he's developed and developing. It's a process that's continuing for Jamal Mayers. You're going to see some offense out of this young man as his career goes along.
Mayers shut off. Van Ryn's shot saved. That whole thing started off Pronger's outlet pass on the other end. St. Louis is playing clinical hockey tonight. And oh, doctor, does it hurt San Jose. Dimitra has his 21st.
Do that screwdriver too? I'm in.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Rather dip.
Pliers.
Make it a Bud Light.
We are in San Jose, California, where the St. Louis Blues have a better record than any visiting team in the National Hockey League. St. Louis comes into this game with a 14-3-1 record at Compaq Center at San Jose, all time in the regular season, and it sure looks as if they're going to get another win tonight. Drake, who has 2 on the evening, deflected back in the goal. Rathje gets it to Solani, who gets it out of the zone but gives it up in the neutral zone. Varlamov to Drake, who's offside a little eager, looking for his 3rd. St. Louis Blues have done so much since last year's trading deadline. Near the deadline, they brought in Mellenby, then they got Stillman, and then in the offseason they got Waite. And they got Tkachuk last year in the biggest deal of deadline day. And there was so much talk that Joel Quenneville's team, despite going with the goaltending combination of Brent Johnson and Fred Brathwaite, was going to take a serious run at the Stanley Cup. Then they came out of the starting blocks and fell right on their faces. Very disappointing. In the last 15 games, as you've alluded to several times, they have really shown what kind of team they can be. Nabokov had a brilliant season last year. He struggled of late. He has gotten no help at all tonight.
I don't normally make excuses for goaltenders, but the kid really has not had much chance on any of the goals that have gotten past him tonight. Deflections, his own teammate banged one into the net. Goal mouth pass to Pavel Dimitra, who's a great goal scorer in the National Hockey League. He really has not had any protection at all from his teammates tonight. I think it's a good move by Daryl Sutter. If he's going to pull him, don't pull him during the period where he's got to skate off the ice in front of the fans. If you're going to pull him, make sure it's done after the second period, and you explain to him and his teammates. Again, he's coming out not because he played poorly tonight, but because we let him down as a team. Because this is a goaltender, as you mentioned, Jack, had a terrific season in his rookie year last year. He struggled coming into here without a win in 6 games. It doesn't look like he's going to get a win again tonight. He has been pulled, but I think right now you have to show that this game and the result of it so far is not the fault of Evgeny Nabokov.
Let's
the Blues
go
had
to
a real
that
good
power
look.
play.
Yeah, it was a real good looking 5-on-3, and they have a lot of different ways they can beat you. Of course, with the big shooters from the blue line, they can beat you there. They have great passing down low. This is Pronger, fake shot, and there's a goal mouth pass. Good recovery by Hannon. All right, now you're going to come down. Tkachuk's in the slot. Boom. Now Hannon's going, oh, gee, Tkachuk just hit the post. I got to get out to him. He's going to move out, and there's a goal mouth pass again. It freezes defenseman Scott Hannon, leaves Pavel Dimitra wide open, and gives Joel Quenneville St. Louis Blues a 5-1 lead in this hockey game.
When a team is making passes across that penalty-killing box or triangle, as was the case in a 5-on-3, it's threading needles at high speed. That reflects the immense skill that St. Louis has and that it can wheel out there. And that's the very thing that was making people in St. Louis so exasperated in the earlier part of the season when the Blues were stumbling, because they said, look at the talent on this team. How can you guys not just be kicking butt in the Central Division and you're struggling along in 3rd place? Well, guess what? they're starting to find their wheels underneath them, and once this train gets going, and it sure looks as if it's leaving the station, it's going to have a lot of momentum.
Jack, it doesn't matter how good the collection of athletes is. It takes time to mold a collection of good athletes into a good hockey team, and that's what Joel Quenneville is doing and will continue to do up until playoff time.
Harvey runs low. Down inside shot. Stewart couldn't find the handle on the one-timer. I think Keane got a piece of Stewart's
Great
stick.
back check by Mike Keane. Good second effort. Just got his stick on the puck and prevented an easy goal for the San Jose Sharks off of that big hit against Reed Lowe by Todd Harvey.
Nabokov shaky on the stick work as Lowe got in his way at the other end, but San Jose survives that. Ricci going corner against Havanov from St. Louis. Havanov up into Mellenby's legs. He goes wing to wing. It's behind Tkachuk. Chops it off the boards. Bounces down from Mellenby. Back into neutral ice. Havanov wheels. Wants to throw it in the zone, but Mellenby was late coming out. Thornton touches up on the long clear in. And it's icing. Lowe gets laid low here. It's going to get nasty in San Jose.
His way to the locker room to get that gash sewn up, and he was the recipient of a high stick. A stick coming off of the hit on Reed Lowe. You'll see right there, there's 28 Bradley. Lowe gets hit, his stick spins around. Just the momentum, certainly unintentional, but it catches Bradley right in the cheek, and he'll have a good 12 to 15 stitch gash there, I would think.
Referee Kevin Pollock sees a penalty against the Blues here. 14:23 into the second period, and Dimitra picks up a couple of penalty minutes.
Pavel Dimitra facing off against Mike Ricci. The puck's up for grabs. He tries to give his teammates a little extra time to battle for it. Gets the stick in the skates of Mike Ricci. Ricci goes down. Call that may not be made in a 2-2 game, but when you're leading 5-1, you're not going to get away with little infractions like that.
Ricci with Sundstrom right and Thornton left. Suter and Stewart at the points on the power play for San Jose. Eastwood to take the drop for St. Louis. Ricci wins it back to Suter, now Stewart. San Jose's got to get one here and get back in this game again. Suter's drive saved by Johnson. Loose comes back to Stewart. Suter. Stewart's one-timer. Eastwood blocks it back into neutral ice. On the shorthand this year, Dallas Drake has scored the only shorty for St. Louis. Drake's out there right now. San Jose has allowed 6 shorthanded goals. Only Pittsburgh, which has allowed 8, and the Islanders, who have allowed 7, have allowed more shorthanded goals than San Jose. Right in on goal, and a save by Johnson as Suter got one through a screen, and Johnson reacted just at the last second. Suter, top of the circle, the wrister deflected, goes off the glass. You know, Johnson has such great athleticism that if they can ever get him to calm down and restrict his movements close to the goal and in the crease, they're convinced he's going to be a very top-notch goalkeeper in the National Hockey League. He's a little overeager sometimes, and sometimes has to make spectacular saves out of necessity because he puts himself out of position. Here comes Owen Nolan, who threw one into his own goal, trying to back the puck out of the way. Solani from Danfoos. Now Nolan in the left wing corner. It comes halfway up the boards. Hines bats it around. Solani, that's a hand pass, and the faceoff's going to come outside the St. Louis end. A program reminder, it's college basketball season, and ESPN2 has a pretty good one for you. How wide open is the ACC? Virginia lost again tonight, this time at Clemson. That won't go down well in Charlottesville. North Carolina gets number 4 Maryland, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time, followed by the Memphis game against TCU. North Carolina has its worst home loss of all time last Saturday. You talk about not getting much sympathy. North Carolina's done so much winning over the years that it isn't really going to get a whole lot of tears shed around the ACC scuffling along this year as it is. Pronger waits, sends it all the way around. Ratchy will take it and retreats. Hines, Ratchy. Final 20 seconds now of the man advantage. Hines. Johnson stops it. Salvador clears it all the way to Nabokov's end of the ice. Nolan at his own blue line. Maybe one more rush on the man advantage. It's a giveaway. Young takes it. And Waite throws it in behind Nabokov. We're back to 5-on-5. It just isn't San Jose's night. Here comes Nolan. Top of the slot. Wrist shot goes wide. He's got that great release in between strides. Had Johnson moving the wrong way, but couldn't put it on goal. Waite brings it back. Stillman stays onside. Just about tears his groin muscles apart. Waite wheels, wants a point man, and sends it behind Finley. Johnson stops for Bergevin. Quickly out to Waite. Cross ice for Young. It bounces all the way to the St. Louis bench. Stillman gains the zone, throws it top of the slot. Graves retreating, has it for San Jose. Harvey up the boards for Graves. Behind him, Mellenby stick handles into the thicket. And it's offside at the San Jose line. Brian Kenny standing by with the Dodge intermission report. That's coming up just a few minutes away here on ESPN2. A Forsberg update. ESPN, the magazine, had an interesting story that Forsberg had secret ankle surgery. The Predators play the Leafs. Toronto looking pretty strong. And Iginla against the Isles. Just a few minutes away on the Dodge intermission report. Marleau and Dimitra. Dimitra wins the draw for St. Louis. Havanov whacks it into his zone. There's Tkachuk going 1-on-2. Salvador's shot blocked down. Marleau gets it back into neutral ice. Here's Graves collecting in front of the penalty bench. Marleau has to switch hands on the stick, and it's offside.
Scott Mellenby made that great pass, the 5-on-3 power play across the goal mouth to Pavel Dimitra. As you look at his numbers there, and who would have thought a line with Scott Mellenby and Keith Tkachuk in the same line? Players that play the game the same way, big, strong, camp out in front of the net, and that's finding the chemistry that Joel Quenneville is doing. And that line works very well with Pavel Dimitra in the middle.
Tkachuk up the boards. Hannon. Marleau gains the zone. Pronger tries to get it out. Tkachuk gets run. Hines misses the check, and Tkachuk has cement in his skates. Mellenby leaves it off Dimitra in the weave. Tkachuk top of the circle. Good stop move. Pronger can't control the puck that was on edge. Van Ryn at the red line. And Harvey takes a run at him. Scott Mellenby just recently lost his mom. She was in St. Louis to help Scott's family move into their house there. Mellenby, of course, coming over from the Florida Panthers last year. And his mom collapsed, and they took her into the hospital and discovered that she was gravely ill. His dad, Ralph, is, if you will, the godfather of hockey night in Canada. And you know, all of hockey is a family, and everybody connected to it is a family somehow. But Mellenby's mom may have left this earth, but I'll tell you what, if her son is any kind of reflection of the character that she had, she left this place a lot better than she found it. Scott Mellenby is a fine human being and an excellent hockey player. And his mom certainly will be missed by everybody in the hockey family and the extended family of the sport. On we go with the game. Havanov retreating into his own zone for St. Louis. Suter. Mark Smith, who delivered the hit on Lindros on the 28th of December. That knocked Lindros out, gave him another concussion. Solani back to Hines, into the pile. Drake tries to dig it out of there. Solani hoping to get himself off the schneid. 9 games without a point. Final minute to play in the second period now. Solani from his knees against Eastwood, who's scrapping along in the corner where he does pretty well. Drake chops the puck loose. Can't get it away from Solani. Has it like Velcro on the stick. Drake gives it right back to him mistakenly. Mateau, Solani tries to loop it up over Johnson, but he makes the glove save. Teemu Solani has the determination on this shift at least, but Johnson denies him.
Pretty easy save for goaltender Brent Johnson. Good offensive zone pressure by the San Jose Sharks. And Solani trying to get the puck to the front of the net. Although the Sharks maintained possession of the puck, it was never really considered a dangerous shift. They never got into a good scoring position. Solani, although he was working very hard, never got his body out to the front of the net. And it was kind of a last-ditch desperate effort to get the puck through the crease. And Brent Johnson, as that puck was flying by, quickly snagged it with the catching glove, hung on. And fresh troops for both teams have taken the ice.
Ricci's line often starts things, but Mayers keeps it from happening by winning the draw. Wait.
Pretty good slash there by Thornton on Pronger. Pronger looking over at the official, and that's about the 4th time the two of them have gone at it tonight. So we'll keep our eyes on that for you, folks. Scott Thornton and Chris Pronger.
This has all the makings of a very ugly third period. We may not even get that far. Hines is going to go with Wait of all people. And here goes a third man in. I think it was Keane. We got a full brawl. We got all 10 men who are skating involved in this one.
Jack, put your jacket back on. You can't go.
It's an automatic game suspension for leaving the booth.
I'm holding Jack back here. He wants to get into the fracas.
Well, you could just feel it. You could feel it in the building since that slash on Pronger. Everybody, players on the bench, players on the ice, knew it was happening. And Johnson's thinking, you know, I wonder if Nabokov's got a good right hand when he drops that blocker off. Look at Pronger. He wants a piece of any Shark who's willing to face him.
Well, it's Thornton that's right in there. Both big, strong boys. Chris Pronger with his wrist on the mend. Would be ill-advised for him to get into a scrap of any sort. Pronger played with a wrist injury and a knee injury this season, and that is the reason for his slower start than was expected.
He said, I can't hear you. I think they're probably doing a lot of talking about the score right now. The St. Louis Blues probably are.
Well, it started with Doug Waite getting involved with Sean Hines. Dougie Waite took exception to the hit by Hines, gave him a shot, and Hines wasn't about to push back. He immediately dropped the gloves. You see the grinding in the corner. There's Waite right there with Ricci. That's fine. Okay, there's Hines. Now, Waite doesn't like the shot. There's the slash, and Hines saying, hey, I'm not waiting. I'm not pushing you back. I'm not slashing. If I'm going to get something going tonight, I'm going to have to get it going with a good fight. And it never really developed because all the Blues came to the rescue of Doug Waite, as did the San Jose Sharks to the rescue of Sean Hines. No punches were really thrown. And we'll have to wait and see if there will be a third man into the altercation. If there is, that player will be ejected from the hockey game. So we'll wait and see the call as both referees are conferring in the circle. And you have Captain Owen Nolan waiting there, along with alternate captain Scott Mellenby for the St. Louis Blues.
Well, if you go back and you look at the fight, you're going to see Keane coming in here.
Yeah, there's Keane, there's Mike Ricci, there's Pronger.
Well, you know, it would seem that Keane was squared off with Ricci, but chose to join that other fight. All right, here are the principles.
That's a good hit. That's it. The first hit's a good hit.
That's a slash.
The second push is not. Definitely a slash by Dougie Waite.
2-point takedown. And there's your third man in.
And Hines is ready to throw the haymaker, and Keane is right there to prevent it. And then the scrum goes on, and Mike Ricci saying, I wonder if we can get another goal because of our effort in that scrum, because right now we need goals.
It's unbelievable because Hines is getting a double minor for roughing. Is that going to be it?
Well, Waite for sure should get a slashing penalty. I can't believe the only penalty will be to Sean Hines. I can see the double minor for roughing, but I cannot see Dougie Waite getting away without at least a slashing penalty.
That's I'll tell you what, Dougie Waite can come over to my yard. I got about a half a cord of wood that needs to get split.
Well, you know the worst thing about this call is when you're talking about a game that may erupt.
You got 20 minutes to play.
Penalties are missed. Right. When penalties are missed. A team like San Jose Shark, you see, look, Daryl Sutter's very upset. Then they start to take the game into their own hands, and that's a penalty that really should have been called against Doug Waite, especially in a game that has the potential to erupt as this one does.
Well, if we only know one thing about the history of the Sutter brothers, from Viking, Alberta. It is that you should not cross them. And I promise you, Daryl Sutter's going to send a message to his team. With 20 minutes to go, the third period could be a very wild place for Chris Pronger despite the lead.
Have a 4-minute power play. And there's Dallas Drake has a couple of goals tonight. Van Ryn and Pronger, 3 assists plus 8 rating. Dimitra, a goal and 1 helper. Nabokov, 5 goals against and 22 shots. Believe me, folks, they are not his fault tonight. And Mike Ricci, an assist. 115 of 18 faceoffs. And there's Chris Pronger, ready for action in the third period. Go ahead, Jackson.
Sorry to interrupt you there,
Oh,
Shawnee.
no. I was just thinking of something to say anyway.
It's going to be a contentious third period. I hope we don't have a go because you got a bit of an advantage over me there. Nabokov's still in. Kiprasov probably going to get the nod tomorrow night in Phoenix. As there he is. Kiprasov, who's been on a hot streak, is cooling his heels right now in the third period. Nabokov's probably just going to have to take his beating for the team as the Sharks play back-to-backers. And the way Sean Burke's been playing all year, goals are going to be at a premium tomorrow night in Phoenix.
The Coyotes, the only other team in the National Hockey League that have not lost a game when having the lead after the first period. They along with the San Jose Sharks. So tomorrow night that may be at stake.
Stillman, wing to wing. Van Ryn, who's jumped up on the attack. It deflects off of Marchman's stick and into the fourth row at Compact Center at San Jose. There's Mike Van Ryn, free agent signing in July of 2000 after originally being drafted in 1998 in the first round by the New Jersey Devils. Lou Lamoriello has a pretty good eye for college talent, as he once coached at Providence College before becoming really famous with the New Jersey Devils and building consistent winners there. And Van Ryn is another guy that caught his eye but just never hooked on with the Devils. He has found himself a spot here with St. Louis, and Joel Quenneville is enjoying the development of this young defenseman. St. Louis on the power play for another 3 minutes here, thanks to the double minor call against Hines. 10 men were involved in a bit of a fracas at the end of the second period with just a few seconds to go. But Hines was the only one who's got assigned to go to the penalty box for it. Offside here, and the faceoff will come back to the neutral zone.
Well, Gary Suter scored his 200th career goal against the Philadelphia Flyers January 2nd. Said the goal was for his son Jacob, who kept asking, when are you going to get your 200th goal? Suter says, you know, I just don't score goals as frequently as I used to. So his son said, look, just shoot the puck. Only had 7 shots in that game. Good job by Gary Suter.
Jacob kicked his butt at PlayStation before the game. He said, you know, it's just like PlayStation, you know, you don't shoot, you don't score. I think it was Gretzky who said that most often. Cannon. Graves gives it away. Pronger walks in.
That would have been a fan favorite if Pronger would have scored a goal there.
Oh, yeah, or if you would have taken Nabokov's head off, I think he would have taken either one, frankly. Because Pronger's a guy who gets a bee under his bonnet, and he was the victim of a couple of chops late in the second when the score started getting out of hand. Hannon falls on the puck underneath Varlamov's contact. Varlamov tries to poke it clear. And San Jose gets it through the neutral zone down into Johnson's end. And we're into the final 2 minutes of this early third period penalty kill for the San Jose Sharks. Pronger hearing boos every time he touches the puck. Van Ryn ices it. Suter on the touch, and the drop will come all the way back to the St. Louis end.
Well, in case you're wondering what that goal looked like by Gary Suter, let's take a look at it. It's power play. Puck being moved around by the Sharks. Goal to Suter. And there is the slapper. Goal 200. Good milestone for a good hockey player.
I'll tell you something else. A great moment in his life is going to come up on the 18th of January when Gary Suter gets to carry the Olympic torch on its way to Salt Lake City, where
fantastic.
He will be representing the U.S. Olympic hockey team. Havanov back at the St. Louis goal, turns away from Sundstrom, who's pestering him from behind. Eastwood waits for the puck and throws it in behind Nabokov. Stewart in to help out. Keane also there for St. Louis. And Suter lobs it the length of the river. 1.5 minutes to go in the man advantage for the St. Louis Blues. Salvador off Keene's skates, comes back to Salvador, and he sends it across his own zone. Ivanov. Wait. Ivanov finds Stillman with a good hard low pass. Stillman across the slot. Stewart pestering Wait so he couldn't get anything on it. Danfus takes down Reed Lowe, who's out there on the power play. I think Reed Lowe's also out there to act as a policeman. Salvador, his blast goes wide. Lowe on the rebound. Nabokov, great recovery across the goal mouth, and Stewart bats it out of there. Matteau then sends it down the ice.
Okay, where's my buddy Dallas Drake? He's got 2. Let's get him on the ice for the hat trick here, Joel. Reed Lowe, the policeman, almost was a goal scorer right there, Jack.
Pronger from the red line scores!
Oh, baby.
What a horrible night for Nabokov. Pronger sticks the dagger in the Sharks' heart.
Well, there's just nothing to say for that man in goal tonight. To say it has not been his evening is a gross understatement. We have not placed much blame at all on Evgeny Nabokov, but that one by Chris Pronger, I think Jack, our producer Michael Roth could have stopped that one, and he's not much of a goaltender.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
And Darryl Sutter has had a puzzled look on his face since about the 3rd minute of the 1st period. And I don't think it's going to leave him anytime soon. But you realize sometimes it's just a night. You have to throw a blanket over it. No sense dissecting this game. It was a bad game from the beginning. And will probably continue to be a bad game right through to the end for the San Jose Sharks. It happens. You have to move past it. They could regroup and have a great game against the Phoenix Coyotes tomorrow night. That's how quickly things can turn around in the National Hockey League.
Brent Johnson, to add insult to injury, gets an assist on Pronger's 4th goal of the year. So the goalie gets an assist on the red line goal by Chris Pronger. Pronger has a goal and 3 assists tonight. There were 5 St. Louis players who brought scoring streaks into this game. All of them have extended their streaks tonight. Ivanov, big hit from Mark Smith, who throws his weight around.
He was trying to hit Kachuk, and he just missed him and ended up bumping into Ivanov. Got to keep your head up on the ice tonight, because the score is definitely out of hand. The only thing the Sharks can do now is to leave an impression on the Blues for the next time they meet.
The impression they may leave may be the reverse imprint of the writing on a glove or a pad.
Listen, the Blues are a physical team. If you want to get physical, they can play a physical game too. It's not like they're going to cower away from anything the San Jose Sharks throw at them. But the Blues have absolutely nothing to gain in any altercations tonight. The Sharks maybe do.
Mayer scoops in and tries to knock one home. Kachuk with the steal. Here's the hated Pronger backing up.
You should qualify that. Hated by the San Jose Shark fans.
Billy McCreary took a pounding underneath Thornton's hit that took Pronger and McCreary into the boards, and McCreary is pretty sore. Pronger has sprung back into very good form.
Well, Pronger with his 4th goal of the season is just a slapper from center ice. The pass off the stick of Brent Johnson. He's just trying to get this baby in. It's right on the ice, right on the ice.
I think it bounced.
Oh, my goodness. Getting the Nabokov. Go to a hypnotist and get this game erased. Well, that's all you can do, man.
Yeah, you can't hit the undo button the way you can on the computer.
No.
You just can't.
Nice if you could rewind the tape and erase this one, but you can't do it.
I like the hypnotist thing. That's good. Brent Johnson with an assist on Pronger's goal. Danfus out of the corner, turns, fires it off a Blues leg, and it goes up into the 8th row in the corner. 14.5 minutes to go, and Shoney, many times you've said the Blues go as Chris Pronger goes, and even though McGinnis is still out with back spasms, Pronger looks as if he's returning to form. There's been a lot of talk about his left wrist. I don't think the wrist is bugging him too much tonight.
No, not tonight. The last few weeks, the wrist has come around. He's been plagued by a wrist injury and a knee injury, and we're going to take a look right now as look at the Blues bench. The players that will be playing in the Olympics: Kachuk, Wait, Young, McGinnis, and Pronger. USA and Canada represented there. And the Sharks have some players of their own who will be playing in the Olympics. And our Cracker Jack producer, Mike Rock, will be there, as will our director, Greg Reckel. bringing you some of the finest hockey of the year, folks. So congratulations to Michael and to Greg. Enjoy your time over there.
And to several of our on-air colleagues who will be handling the commentary. Jerry Thorne in on the action. Hanger, Bill Clement.
Yeah, but you know that on-air guys are unimportant. We're not the important guys.
I'll tell you one thing.
It's the truck dwellers that make this thing go.
I'll tell you one thing, Shoney. Nobody's as good at trivia as you are.
Well, thank you, Jack.
The big test is coming. He's never missed one, folks, ever.
So stay tuned. Whatever you do, stay tuned.
In fact, you may want to make some side bets on that. Of course, that's illegal in many states, but Eastwood in the corner against Damphus. Low in the slot. Nolan. Well, I'm not sure if there's that psycho element in this game right now. Even the Sharks look as if they're keeping their distance because they know these 2 points are gone, and they're thinking about Phoenix tomorrow night in the back of their minds. Because there was a situation right there where Harvey could have rammed into Bergevin but backed off. Young with the big blast of the glove save by Nabokov. He drops it off, gets some sarcastic cheers. I mean, he let in one bad one. That was a bouncer from Pronger from about 85 feet. It was just a terrible looking goal, but he hasn't had a lot of help. Here comes Young, smacking his lips. It's off a Shark stick and up over the Zamboni door about 8 rows high. Pronger has 1 and 3 tonight. It's been all Blues in San Jose. Those screams you hear are from San Jose Sharks fans on the roller coaster. Their last 3 games, 3-0, 16 goals for, only 5 against. The 3 games before that, they were 0-3. All 6 of those games in this 7-game homestand. And tonight they're trailing 6-1. A fitting finale for what will end up as a 3-4 homestand for the still Pacific Division leading San Jose Sharks.
Well, 9 of their next 13 are at home, Jack, and then they go on the road for 10 of 13 away. So maybe it'll be nice for them to get out of here.
Stewart whacks it away from Stillman. Havanov to line. Passes. Stillman is a little slow getting back, and the drop will come back in the St. Louis end. Joel Quenneville said, we'll wait as long as we have to wait for this team to gel, for it to come together. But if he gets these kinds of games from Dimitra that he has for most of the season, and the other guys start chipping in as they have tonight.
Pavel Dimitra is one of 4 guys in the 2020 club so far at the halfway point. 20 goals, 20 assists. Jerome McGinley from Calgary, Brendan Shanahan from the Red Wings, and Daniel Alfredson of the Ottawa Senators. So congratulations to Dimitra. And Joe Quenneville says Pavel half the season does not make it a great season to keep this thing going. And Pavel Dimitra has played extremely well this year. He and Keith Tkachuk have been a great duo.
Tkachuk in front for Mellanby, can't stuff it in. Marchment around the boards. Finley whacks it down the wall. Here's Mellanby's drive. Glove save Nabokov. And he has it in the knee pad. Mellanby brought in as a character player. And he immediately started helping the Blues and has been a positive influence. Even when the scoring touch has eluded him, it's kind of been off and on for him, but he's a guy that has a positive influence in the room every single day.
Doesn't score a lot of goals, but he scores a lot of very important goals, and that's what you want, especially come playoff time. Players like Mellanby, Mike Keane, who's kind of a role player right now. I guarantee you, folks, come playoff time, Mike Keane will get at least 1 very important goal for the St. Louis Blues. That's just his makeup, the kind of guy he has been throughout his entire career. That's why he's got 3 Stanley Cup rings.
Drake's on the ice looking for the hat trick. Sundstrom. Ricci gains the zone. Moves around. Van Ryn throws it middle. Pronger's there to take it away. Sundstrom loses an edge. Gives it up to Drake. It's 3-on-2 coming back. Mayer streaking up the middle. Mayer's his shot saved. Nabokov a rebound. Rathje knocks it down. Ricci. Pronger steps up and intercepts the cross ice pass. Loses to Rathje. Across his own zone. Hines wing to wing. Pass. Ricci, he runs into Varlamov and bangs. Reed Low out there now for St. Louis. Sundstrom bringing it back the other way for San Jose. Pronger takes it away. Eastwood trying to get away from the water skiing Sundstrom, who ends up taking the puck away from him. Rathje gets knocked down by Low from behind. Pronger at his own line. Van Ryn back to Pronger. Keane in front of the penalty bench. Rathje backhands it forward, loses to Eastwood. Eastwood wheels, gives it right back to Rathje. Hines center ice. Graves disrupted. Sharks players running into one another on the change, which is somewhat symbolic of the night as Hines and Suter crossed paths inadvertently. Salvador off Damfuzi's stick, and St. Louis will turn it back. Havanov lobs it high. Young knocks it down. Wait going down the slot. Wait follows to the backboard. Stewart lines him up and pins him in. Here comes Damfus wheeling his goal. Nolan gives it away to Stillman. Young can't stick a fork in the bouncing puck. Touches it down around back of the goal. Wait tries to feed it middle. Nice play by Damfus. Brilliant stick skills. Good stick handling move there. Nolan can't control it. He's had an awful night. Puck rolling back into the St. Louis end, and here's Wait. Leads the team in assists with 30, including one tonight. Get a stoppage as the puck goes just over the low glass. 10-10 remaining in regulation time, and for the San Jose Sharks, well, what else is new? They got points in 12 of their first 15. Then they won just 1 out of 8. They had a team record 10-game unbeaten streak. Then they went 5 games without a win. Then they won 3 in a row. That was before tonight. And tonight, the ceiling is caved in on Daryl Sutter's guys. They trail 6-1 to the St. Louis Blues. Finley to Bergevin. Finley with pressure from Marlowe. Backhands it. Past Bradley. Bergevin again. Finley. Bergevin. Kachuk. The train starts rolling. Mellenby wheels, gives it away to Stewart. For Harvey. You see how little body checking there is. Both of these teams have taken a notch off of the edge that was there. Late second period. Kachuk's shot was going wide. Nabokov got the blocker on it anyway. His pass comes past Havanov. No icing here as the Blues provided the impetus behind the puck.
And I think it's wise on the part of Daryl Sutter to calm his players down. What happens? You try to have an infusion of energy. You end up taking a bad penalty. There's no retaliation by the Blues. You're killing the penalty. Slapper comes from the blue line. One of your defensemen takes it off the foot, and he's out for 6 weeks with a broken foot. Sometimes you just have to take your lumps. Never mind making a statement. Take your lumps. The lumps have been given by the St. Louis Blues, received by the San Jose Sharks. We got 9 minutes to go in this one, folks. Welcome back, folks. Well, it has not gone the way of the San Jose Sharks tonight, but their point totals have improved in each of the last 6 seasons. So although they're having a bad game tonight, fine job by Dean Lombardi, the general manager, and by Coach Daryl Sutter. And as we've said a few times, sometimes you just have to throw the blanket over a game like this and forget about it. No sense even looking at tape after a loss like this. You're just not going to learn anything, so why beat yourself up all over again?
Varlamov trying to get around Marchman, who has him tied up. Varlamov keeps the puck. Now throws it corner. Mayer's trying to feed it back out in front to Drake, who's looking for the hat trick. Mateau in the corner. Mayer's to Drake. Varlamov's on the doorstep, but Drake can't get it there because he's getting worked over pretty well by Marchman. Drake in the circle, loses to Hannon. Marchman finishes him off, and finally Drake goes down. Marchman unopposed. Solani. Mark Smith down the board. Solani trying to break the long drought. Longest of his career. One hand to Smith. Goes up high. Deflected shot off the back glass. Salvador into the penalty bench. And you know, folks, it's been a bad night for Evgeny Nabokov. But I've never seen Jim Schoenfeld ever have a bad night at trivia. Shoney, tell us who registered the first shutout in Sharks history, folks. He's never ever missed a trivia question.
My guess would be Arturs Irbe.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
Oh, that's Arturs right there. Oh, he looked pretty good in that game. Oh, against the Kings. Look, Robitaille, sniper in front of the net, couldn't get one pass. Arturs Irbe. So I think my record stays intact, Jeff.
It does, as awesome as it is. Hines deflects Lowe's shot. Lowe goes to the opposite corner. Hines gives him a shot right in the chops. They're looking at each other, and we got a delayed penalty coming up here.
Mike Eastwood with the hold of the stick of Mike Rathje, and he was caught. He was saying I was trying to get away. He had to stick into my belly, but the referee will have none of that. It's a holding call, and it's a good call.
Those of you who logged on to ESPN.com, well, many of you were not as accurate as Jim Schoenfeld. Always has been. But 35% did say that Archer Zerbe was the guy.
There's Mike Eastwood in the penalty box, holding the stick. Penalty at 12:26 of the third period. Pretty obvious penalty. Scrumming in the corner, scrumming in the corner. Rathje trying to get loose. And he cannot get loose because Mike Eastwood has the clamp on the blade of the stick of Mike Rathje. I like to say it's a good opportunity for the Sharks, but I think the hill is too high and too steep, even if they should get one on this power play, Jack.
Well, Solani's out there with a chance just to get himself going.
Well, you know, if he scores a goal, it's going to be written in the paper as a meaningless goal anyway, because it would be the second, and it would probably be a 6-2 or 6-3 loss. So I'd rather see Timmy Solani get off the schneid in a game that really matters.
They almost got a chance there. Johnson denies him. Stewart's blast to save. It actually hit Johnson. He was in the right place at the right time. And frankly, that's the kind of save the Blues want to see Johnson make more of, because he was in the right position and the puck just hit him.
He's very quick. You've stated that, Jack. He has great reflexes, great reaction. What Brent Johnson has to learn to do is to make good saves on the nights when he is not at the top of his physical game. And you do that by good positioning, as you saw from the Southwest Airlines goal cam. Goaltenders like Patrick Waugh, Sean Burke now, Martin Brodeur position themselves well. They get square to the shooter. And so you take that night when they're not at the top of their athletic game. They might let in 2 or 3, but it doesn't go beyond that because their positioning is good. The puck hits them, they keep it in front of them, and generally they give their team a chance to either win or tie the hockey game. When you're always relying on your quickness, your athletic ability, you're not going to play goal well enough or consistently enough in the National Hockey League.
He's going to get some action here because it's going to be 5-on-3 for the next minute. 27. Havanov has gone for interference. And so the Sharks are going to get a chance to put their teeth into this just a little bit.
Chris Pronger is not on the ice, killing his penalty. You got Finley and Bergevin on the blue line. Jamal Mayers, the only forward on the ice.
Suter setting up. He's got Nolan on the off wing in the circle with it. Suter's one-timer shot, save, rebound, pass Solani to the corner. Bergevin helping to knock it free. Nolan's drive, scores! Oh, what a tremendous shot, top corner. And they still have a man in the box.
You simply cannot allow Owen Nolan to shoot from the top of the circle. He is deadly coming off the boards. You give him some time and some room. He picks his spot. There's not a goaltender in the league who's going to stop that shot. And Owen Nolan on the power play, walking top of the circle. No one challenging him. Boom. Right past Bergevin. Bergevin saying, thank you, Lord. That puck did not hit me. Southwest Airlines goal cam. Mark Bergevin set up a pretty good screen for his goaltender, Brent Johnson. Johnson never really saw that shot until it was passed.
Suter and Stewart get the assists on Nolan's 11th of the year. 13:31 on the 5-on-3. So now it's 5-on-4 for about another minute and 10 seconds. Stewart, Sundstrom on the half boards. Down low for Solani. Ricci on the doorstep. Couldn't find the handle as he was getting checked by Salvador. Stewart, Sundstrom in the circle. Eastwood deflects it back through the neutral zone.
One thing that has hurt the St. Louis Blues this year has been the number of times they've been down 5-on-3, 2 men short, and the number of goals that have been scored against them 5-on-3. And sometimes that's just a matter of discipline. There's certain things you can and certain things you can't do when you're killing a penalty. When you're killing a penalty, the first thing you cannot do is take another penalty. And the Blues have been guilty of that different portions of the season, and it has burnt them as it has again in tonight's hockey game.
Mayers gets his own dump in, and Stewart puts a clinical hip check on him. Outlet to Harvey. Keane disrupts it at the line, but not for long. Bradley, who's back from getting his gash stopped in the locker room. Back to the point. Hannon, nice one-hand pass to Marchment. Snap shot goes wide and high. Around the dasher, now Hannon. Down into the corner. Harvey. The Blues clear. And we're back to 5-on-5 as Havanov is out of the gate. So about 5 minutes to go in this one. It's a 6-2 hockey game. The Blues have had all of the play tonight. They got 3 goals in a 3.5-minute span in the first period, 2 of which were kind of weird ones, as Tkachuk almost slid it in on a cross-ice pass, and Owen Nolan inadvertently gloved the puck past Nabokov to make it 3-0. That was only 8:51 into the game, and the gas was out of the bag. It appears that in all likelihood, for the first time this year, San Jose will score a power play goal and lose a home game. Some big hitting, but the score is all done.
Hello?
Collect call.
Did you use 1-800-COLLECT?
1-800-COLLECT presents Ava Save-A-Lot, starring in the most horrifying movie ever. I know you're not calling me with 1-800-COLLECT.
What kind of twisted mind wouldn't want me to save a buck or two? It's so easy. What a nightmare.
1-800-COLLECT. Save a buck or two.
Owen Nolan with a couple of goals tonight. One he'd like to forget on his old goalie of getting Nabokov, and another he would like to duplicate. A laser pass St. Louis goaltender Brent Johnson on the power play.
Oh boy, I think Young took one up in the face here, and he's down. St. Louis trainer immediately comes off the bench.
I believe it's an accidental high stick by Sean Hines, and he's making his way to the penalty box. Accident or not, it's deemed careless use of the stick. He must be in control of that weapon. And Scott Young still on the ice, being 10-2, as Sean Hines steps in to the penalty box. Will it be 2 or will it be 4 minutes? My guess would be 4. The extent of the injury. High sticking, of course, will be the call. Right off the face-off, and up comes the stick right there.
Wow.
You see Sean Hines is looking at the puck. His eyes are on the puck. He's anticipating the stick of Scott Young coming in to reach for the puck, and he's trying to lift that stick, but the stick was not there. So when you're trying to lift someone's stick, you're coming with a lot of force. That force was not prevented by the hockey stick, so it's just a free shot right to the forehead of Scott Young. And for that infraction, Sean Hines will sit out the next 4 minutes, barring a St. Louis goal, and there's a pretty good shiner in the making for Scott Young as he heads to the St. Louis locker room. Dallas Drake on the ice, 2 goals. Will he get the third?
It's about the only mystery that's left. Boy, it is good to see that Young apparently is not severely injured. Any stick up around the eye, you immediately think back to the tragic injury that befell Brian Berard. And it's remarkable he's able to contribute to the Rangers this year. He's basically lost the vision in one of his eyes because of that inadvertent high stick from Tulsa.
Remember Al McGinnis of the St. Louis Blues off the stick of Scott Hammond. Another accident. McGinnis lost a lot of time last year. Things happen so quickly on the ice. It would be great if we could protect every part of the body, but you just can't. You still function out there. And that's why it takes a great deal of courage to play this game of hockey at any level.
Wade bangs in the corner. Centering pass. Mateau sends it down the river.
You can see the intensity level of the Blues is waning. They know they've got this thing wrapped up. And why do I say that? Because they aren't winning the battle for the puck. You have the extra guy in a power play. You have to outnumber your opponent. Make sure you come up with a loose puck. And right now, the Blues are not paying the price to come up with that loose puck. So it just could be a Blues up, Sharks down. It's about the 3rd time it's been iced. And it's a good lesson for players on the power play. There's a lot more involved in a power play than just crisp passing and shooting. First of all, you have to play the gritty game to come up with good possession. Then you spread the puck and you start your passing and shooting.
Dimitra trying to feed Tkachuk in front. Ricci has him wrapped up. And it is Marchment again sending it the length of the ice. We might just go last 2.5 minutes of this game without a whistle.
Let's hope so, Jack.
Nolan into the zone. Drake tries to take out McCreary.
Someone threw a quarter on the ice. Dallas stepped on that. He would never fall on his own steam, folks.
This is the guy whose favorite cartoon character is Wile E. Coyote. And, you know, you gotta love that. Here's Tkachuk trying to set up Drake. Back to Tkachuk. You know, that is what kind of a guy Tkachuk is. He saw his longtime buddy Drake, and he said, you know what? I am trying to set him up for the hat trick. Couldn't quite do it. About 2 minutes to go. St. Louis still with the man advantage. Pronger cross ice beyond Varlamov, and the buck comes out. Oh, it goes right through his crease onto the stick of Mateau. It's a nice Tuesday evening skate for the 10 men on the ice right now. Very little contact, very little intensity. St. Louis had a couple of good bounces, but played with great intensity in the first 2+ periods. It's off Mateau's leg, tries to whip it back in front, but Johnson blocks that back. Been pretty impressed with Johnson as well. I think he's played a pretty good game. Varlamov corner against Sundstrom. They jam down there. 1:20 to go. And the referees have swallowed their whistles. Everybody wants to get out of here in one piece. Van Ryn left side for Eastwood. Tries to sweep it in front. Hannon takes it away, loses an edge, and we're going to get a penalty called with 1:04 to go. Holding the stick is the call. So it looks as if Eastwood's going to go. John Butchergrass is in the studio. Latest on Peter Forsberg, following up on ESPN, the magazine's report that he had the secret ankle surgery. Big night for DePita. Things happening in Philly. Things are happening in the Western Conference Pacific Division. San Jose still on top. Dallas played its game in hand on Phoenix and LA. Is 3 points ahead of Phoenix, but look at LA, just 5 points back of second place Dallas, and San Jose about to go out on the road. And, you know, you can't count out the LA Kings because there's a team with a lot of talent. Oh, Harvey goes flying over the top of Salvador's check.
Sorry, Jack. A lot of key people hurt for the LA Kings. They had the slow start this season. They made the trade for Jason Allison. No training camp, missed the first month, so he came as about half a player. Just a matter of time before they got things going. Potvin had a tough time in goal. He's playing much better now. So you expect the Kings to be one of the top 8 in the conference. At least I do. So I'm not surprised that they're making a charge starting here the second half of the season.
They may end up having almost a mirror image season of last year, where at the very end they were struggling to get into the playoffs, and then once they got in, nobody wanted them, and they showed their mettle. They gave Colorado all they could handle. Hines' shot gets knocked down. Drake fouls it into the corner. He won't get the hat trick tonight, but he did get 2 goals. Bergevin chips it up to the line. The marchment, a couple of boos from the fans in the stands. The 3-4 home stand for the San Jose Sharks. Their 3-game winning streak ends. St. Louis extends its winning streak to 3 games and has won 5 out of its last 6. Maybe these are the real Blues. A goal and 3 assists for Chris Pronger tonight. 6-2 the final score in San Jose. Devils and Flyers Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time on ESPN2 as National Hockey Night continues. Coming up next, the NHL Tonight with John Butchergrass. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. For Jim Schoenfeld and our ESPN2 crew, I'm Jack Edwards. All Blues in San Jose tonight.